I decided to surprise my son, Marcus, at the firm. As I approached his office, I heard my daughter-in-law, Chantal, ask from the doorway, "Are you sure he won't notice?" My son's voice came back, low and hushed. "My dad's a clueless old man." I froze right there, my heart pounding in my chest as I listened to every single word. They both chuckled, then continued talking about their plan. It hit me right then, this wasn't just some innocent business chat. I decided to act like I hadn't heard a thing, at least for now. But let me take you back to explain how I, a proud father, ended up in that hallway, about to uncover the worst kind of betrayal imaginable. My name is Elijah Vales, and I'm 57 years old. I'm the founder and owner of Vales & Associates, a management consulting firm I built from the ground up 28 years ago. I started this journey in a tiny rented cubicle with nothing but a used computer and a mountain of ambition. Today we have offices in 5 major US cities and generate around $40 million in annual revenue. I wasn't born into wealth. I had no special connections. All I had was sheer hard work, a sharp mind, and an unwavering determination to give my family everything I never had: stability, security, and endless opportunity. I married my soulmate, Lena, when I was 25. She was a brilliant and beautiful middle school English teacher who dreamed of raising successful children who would conquer the world. And we did. We had 2 incredible kids. First came our son, Marcus, who's now 30, and then our daughter Naomi, who's 27. For years, we were that picture-perfect family everyone looked up to. We took vacations in Europe, had beautiful homes in Miami Beach and Buckhead. Atlanta, sent the kids to private schools, and celebrated their honors graduations. We had everything money could buy and hard work could achieve. Then, 5 years ago, my world shattered. Lena passed away from a cerebral aneurysm. It was so sudden. One day she was excitedly planning Marcus's wedding, and the next she was in the hospital. 2 days later, she was gone. No goodbyes, no final words, just a profound, crushing emptiness. The pain was unbearable, but I knew I had to keep going. For my children, for the company, for the legacy that Lena and I had built together. Marcus married Chantal just 6 months after Lena passed away. He'd met her in college. She was undeniably pretty and charismatic, but there was always something about her that put me on edge. A certain coldness in her eyes, a calculated way she chose her words. But my son loved her, or at least he said he did, so I welcomed her into our family. Naomi got married 2 years later to a wonderful man named Eric, a hardworking and honest architect. I liked him from the moment I met him. After Lena's death, I started to seriously think about the future of the firm. What would happen to Vales & Associates when I retired, or when I was no longer around? The obvious answer was Marcus. My son had earned his MBA from a top-tier business school. He had the credentials, the knowledge, and he was my blood, the natural choice to take over. So 3 years ago, I sat him down. "Marcus," I said, "I want you to start getting more involved in the firm. I want you to learn the ropes so you can eventually take control." His eyes lit up with genuine excitement. "Really, Dad? That would be incredible." "But," I added firmly, "you have to start from the bottom, just like I did. You need to learn every department, every single process. I'm not just handing you a position because you're my son. You have to earn it." He looked me straight in the eye and said, "I understand and I promise I will." And he did. He started as a project assistant, with a modest salary and no special privileges. To my surprise, he excelled. He was the first one in the office and the last one to leave. He asked intelligent questions, took detailed notes, and seemed genuinely passionate about the business. After 6 months, I pulled him aside. "I'm proud of you, son," I told him. "You're showing me you have what it takes." "Thank you, Dad," he replied, his voice full of gratitude. "That means everything to me." Over the next 2 years, Marcus climbed the corporate ladder, earning every promotion. He went from coordinator to project manager, and then to associate director. I watched him grow, feeling a sense of immense pride. My son was following in my footsteps, ready to carry the torch. I had absolute faith in him. I trusted him with the future of my life's work, the legacy I had built for him and his sister. I believed he was not just my son, but my worthy successor. Looking back now from this cold, lonely hallway, I realize how blind I was. The son I was so proud of was standing just a few feet away, laughing with his wife as they plotted to take everything from the clueless old man who gave him everything. The betrayal was a dagger to my heart, but my grief was quickly turning into something else. a cold, hard resolve. They thought I was clueless? They had no idea who they were dealing with. This was my company, my legacy, and I would not let it be stolen by deceit and treachery. Not from my own son, and certainly not from the woman who had wormed her way into my family. The game was on, and I was about to change the rules. Thank you so much for watching. If you're captivated by this story and want to see how it unfolds, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next part. Your support means the world to me. See you in the next video. For years, I believed I had built the perfect legacy. My son, Marcus, had been climbing the corporate ladder in the company I founded, one promotion at a time. Each step up was earned, backed by real results, happy clients, and projects that thrived. 6 months ago, I felt the time was right. I called him into my office. Marcus, it's time. I'm naming you Chief Operating Officer. You'll be my right-hand man. And in 2 years, when I turn 60, the CEO title is yours. His face lit up. Dad, I don't know what to say thank you. Thank you for believing in me. All I said was, just keep proving you deserve it. His wife, Chantal, was over the moon. Elijah, this is marvelous. Marcus is finally getting the recognition he deserves. She then confided in me. And we're finally getting the stability we need to start a family. I was surprised. You're thinking of having children? Yes, she said, but we wanted to wait until Marcus's position was secure, and now it is. Everything seemed perfect. My son was on the verge of taking over, my legacy was secure, and I thought the company was in the best possible hands for the next generation. But as we all know, appearances can be incredibly deceiving. It started subtly, about 3 months ago. Little things that just felt off. Marcus was taking meetings that weren't on my calendar. New clients I'd never heard of were suddenly on our roster. Contracts were being signed without my final review. One day I saw a new name. Marcus, who is Southstar Corporation? I see you signed a $400,000 contract with them. He was casual, almost dismissive. Oh yeah, they're a new client. Restructuring consulting. Everything's in order, Dad. Don't worry, I pushed a little. I'd like to see the file. Sure, he promised. I'll send it over this afternoon. But the file never arrived. When I asked again, his response was a smooth deflection. Dad, it's in process. We're still organizing the documents. I promise, everything's fine. Trust me. And I did. I trusted him because he was my son, and because for 2 years, he had been nothing but competent and dedicated. Then, more strange contracts began to surface. Companies with generic, forgettable names, paying huge sums for services that sounded legitimate, but were frustratingly vague. Operational process optimization, integrated strategic consulting, corporate restructuring advisory. It all sounded like industry standard jargon, but it also felt like a smokescreen. My unease solidified when my accountant, Mr. Henderson, a man who'd been with me for 20 years, came to my office. Worry was etched into every line on his face. Elijah, I need to talk to you about some transactions. What transactions? I asked. The ones Marcus has been processing, he said, his voice low. Something's off. Money is flowing in from companies with no history and then flowing right back out to equally unknown companies. It looks like we're being used as an intermediary. An intermediary for what? His next words hit me like a physical blow. I'm not sure, but the patterns, they look like money laundering. That's impossible, I stammered, the words feeling hollow even as I said them. Marcus wouldn't do that. Henderson looked at me sympathetically. You're probably right, but Elijah, you have to investigate. Review those contracts, talk to those clients. Because if something illegal is happening and it's happening under your name, you are the one who is legally responsible. I tried to talk to Marcus, I really did. But every time I called, there was an excuse. Dad, I'm in a meeting. Dad, I have to go see a client. Dad, I'm busy. Let's talk later. And foolishly, I let it go. I let it go because I trusted him, and because a part of me, a big part, simply didn't want to believe that my own son was hiding something so terrible from me. That all changed yesterday. I couldn't ignore the knot in my stomach any longer. I needed answers. I decided to go to the office unannounced, a surprise visit to finally have the conversation I'd been postponing for weeks. I arrived around 11 in the morning. Marcus's assistant looked up, startled. Mr. Vales, I didn't know you were coming in today. I gave her a small smile. Surprise. Is Marcus here? Yes, she said. In his office with his wife. They're in a private meeting. Perfect, I replied. Don't announce me. I want to surprise him. I walked down the halls of the firm I had poured my life into building. Employees greeted me warmly. I saw the modern offices, the fruits of my labor, and felt a surge of pride. This was my creation, my legacy. I reached Marcus's office. The door was slightly ajar. I was about to knock when I heard their voices, soft but crystal clear. It was Chantal. Are you sure he won't notice? And then I heard my son, Marcus, reply with a chilling laugh. My dad's a clueless old man. He's so focused on retiring and playing golf that he couldn't see what's happening right under his nose. I froze. My own son had just called me a clueless old man. My heart felt like it had dropped into my shoes. Then Chantal continued, her voice laced with concern. But it's his company. What if he checks the books? What if he finds the accounts? Marcus's reply was dripping with arrogance. He won't find anything. Mr. Henderson is the only one who might suspect, and I already took care of him. I gave him limited access to the systems. He can't see the full transactions anymore. You are so smart, Chantal cooed, her voice thick with admiration. Once this works, when we wash the $5 million, our commission will be $500,000. I couldn't breathe. My legs felt weak. I stumbled back from the door, the world spinning around me. $5 million. Money laundering. And my son, my heir, was the mastermind, with his wife as his willing accomplice. They had been using me, using my company, my legacy, as a tool for their crimes. The trust I had placed in him, the love I felt for him, it all shattered in that single, horrifying moment. They saw me not as a father, but as an obstacle, a clueless old man to be deceived and discarded. I turned and walked away, my mind a whirlwind of betrayal and fury. They thought they had won. They thought they were smart. But they had made one critical miscalculation. They had forgotten who built this empire. And they were about to find out what this clueless old man was truly capable of. The game was on. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm sharing a story that cuts deeper than any business deal gone wrong. It's about family, betrayal, and the cold, hard reality that sometimes the people you trust the most are the ones sharpening the knife. It all started on what should have been a proud day. I was walking through the halls of the company I built from scratch, the culmination of nearly 3 decades of my life. I was heading to my son Marcus's office, intending to surprise him with a promotion. He was my heir, my successor. Or so I thought. As I got closer, I heard voices from inside Marcus and his girlfriend Chantal. I stopped, not wanting to interrupt, but what I heard next stopped my heart. It's enough, Marcus was saying, his voice filled with a greedy excitement I'd never heard before. Enough to buy that house you want in the Palisades. And then there are more contracts, more money, my mind raced. What contracts? Eventually, he continued, we can push Dad out completely. Declare him incompetent if we have to, and take full control. The words hit me like a physical blow. Incompetent? My own son? And if he resists, Marcus added, his tone turning colder, then we use Plan B. We have enough documentation to incriminate him. Everything is in his name. If anything goes wrong, he's the one who falls, not us. My heart was pounding so hard I thought they would hear it through the door. This wasn't just a disrespectful outburst. This was a calculated plot. He wasn't just calling me names. He was using my company, my life's work, to launder money. He was planning to discard me, and if things went south, he was setting me up to take the fall, to face criminal charges. It was pure, unadulterated treachery. Then I heard Chantal's voice, smooth and venomous. And your sister? Does Naomi suspect anything? My daughter Naomi. A wave of fear washed over me. Had he dragged her into this as well? Naomi is naive? Marcus scoffed. She only cares about her kids and her mediocre architect husband. She doesn't pay attention to the business. Even if she did, she wouldn't understand any of this. He dismissed his own sister with such contempt. And if your dad talks to her, Chantal pressed, if he tells her his suspicions? Marcus laughed. He won't. He's too proud. He doesn't want to admit he might have made a mistake in trusting me. He'd rather believe everything's fine than face the fact that his perfect son is a fraud. They laughed together, a sound that curdled my blood. They were relishing it, celebrating my downfall, toasting their betrayal. I backed away from the door, moving silently, my hands trembling, a lump of ice in my throat. The pride I felt just moments ago had vanished, replaced by a searing pain and a mounting white-hot rage. I had to get out, to think, to plan. I walked back down the corridors I had just strode through with such satisfaction. Now they felt alien, cold. I saw no one, felt nothing but the crushing weight of betrayal. I finally reached my car and collapsed into the driver's seat, the world spinning around me. I tried to process the fragments of their conversation. My son, my Marcus, was using me, my firm, my name, my reputation, to launder money. It was almost certainly for an organized crime syndicate. The scale he was talking about was immense, and his safety net? Me. He'd made sure everything was in my name. The fraudulent contracts, the illegal transactions, they would all have my signature, real or forged. When the authorities inevitably discovered this, I would be the one going to prison. Not Marcus. He had insulated himself perfectly. The rage was a fire consuming me, but beneath it was an ocean of pain. This wasn't just business. This was personal. My son, the boy I had raised, had called me a clueless old man. He had plotted to have me declared mentally incompetent, to strip me of my dignity and my freedom. He had taken my trust, my paternal love, and twisted it into a weapon to use against me. It was the deepest cut of all. But then, as I sat there, shaking with a mix of fury and grief, something inside me shifted. The raw, hot rage began to cool, to crystallize into something else. Something cold, calculated, and strategic. If Marcus thought I was just some clueless old man, he was about to learn a very hard lesson. I built this empire from the ground up. I navigated economic crises, ruthless competition, and impossible clients for 28 years. You don't survive and thrive in this business by being stupid. You do it by being smarter, tougher, and more resilient than everyone else. My son wanted a war. Fine, he was going to get one. But this war would be fought on my terms, not his. I wasn't going to be the victim in his story. I was going to be the victor in mine. The first move was crucial. I pulled out my phone, my hand now steady. I didn't call our corporate lawyer. Marcus had likely compromised him already. Instead, I called my personal lawyer, Anthony Tony Graves. We'd been friends since college, and he was now one of the most formidable attorneys in Atlanta. "Tony," I said, my voice low and urgent. "I need to see you. It's about my company." "And my son." "What happened?" he asked, concern in his voice. "I can't say over the phone. Can you come to my house tonight? 8 o'clock sharp. And bring someone who specializes in white-collar crime. Because what I found is serious." "I'll be there," he said without hesitation. One call down, the next piece was just as important. I needed eyes and ears, someone who could operate in the shadows. I dialed a number I hadn't used in years, for a private investigator named Robert Sanchez. I'd hired him before to vet potential business partners, and his work was impeccable, thorough, and discreet. He would help me uncover the full extent of Marcus's scheme. As I ended the call, I took a deep breath. The path ahead was going to be difficult, painful, and fraught with danger. But I was no longer the heartbroken father. I was a general, preparing my battlefield. Marcus thought he was playing chess with a pawn. He was about to find out he'd declared war on the king. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this story. It's a reminder that sometimes the biggest battles are the ones we never expected to fight. Discreet, efficient, and completely loyal. Robert, I need a full investigation into my son, Marcus Vales, and his wife, Chantal. I want to know everything. Personal finances, affiliations, contacts, bank movements, everything. And it has to be secret. No one can know, not even my son. Especially my son. Understood, Robert replied. Give me 48 hours. I drove home, poured myself a glass of bourbon, and sat in the study. This was the room where Lena and I used to plan our future, where we dreamed of our successful children and our family legacy. I asked myself, at what point did everything go so wrong? At what point had my son become this person? I looked at a photo on the wall, Marcus at 10 years old, smiling, innocent, pure. Where was that boy? And when was he replaced by this man who called me a clueless old man? My phone rang. It was Marcus. Hey Dad, your assistant told me you were in the office today, but you didn't look for me. Is everything okay? His voice was warm, worried, completely false. No, son. I just swung by to pick up some documents. I saw you were busy in your office, so I didn't want to interrupt. Ah, well, you should have come said hello, he replied. I always have time for you. A lie. A pure lie. I know, I said. But don't worry. I'll see you tomorrow at the director's meeting. I'll be there. And Dad, thank you for trusting me, for giving me this opportunity. I won't let you down. You already have, I thought. You already have in the worst way possible. I know, son. See you tomorrow, I hung up. In that moment, I made a decision. I wouldn't confront Marcus yet. I wouldn't let him know that I knew. If I did, he'd have time to cover his tracks, destroy evidence, and prepare a defense. No, I was going to do what he was doing, act normal, pretend everything was fine, while secretly gathering evidence, building my case, and preparing my counterattack. Because if 28 years in business had taught me anything, it was this: information is power. And the one who makes the first move without preparation loses. Marcus had made one big mistake. He had underestimated his father. He had assumed I was too old, too trusting, too clueless to see the truth, but I had seen it. And now I was going to use that truth to destroy his plans and teach him the most expensive lesson of his life. Because no one, absolutely no one, uses my name to commit crimes, not even my son. Anthony Graves arrived at my house exactly at 8 o'clock, accompanied by a woman in her 40s. She was elegant, with a sharp gaze that evaluated everything. Elijah, this is Aisha Jackson, he said. A financial crime specialist, former federal prosecutor, now in private practice. I told her in general terms what's going on, and she agreed to come. Thank you for coming, Miss Jackson, I said, extending my hand. Please, call me Aisha, she replied. And Tony tells me it's urgent and involves your son. I led them to my study, closed the door, and told them everything. Every word I had heard, every detail, omitting nothing. Aisha took notes on a tablet, her expression growing increasingly serious. When I finished, she looked up at me. Mr. Vales, this is very serious. If what you heard is true, your son is using your company to launder money, likely for organized crime. And he is structuring everything so that you become the fall guy if anything goes wrong. How serious are the consequences? I asked, my voice tight. Legally, she began, money laundering can carry up to 15 years in federal prison. All your assets could be seized, your company closed, your reputation destroyed. And if they're connected to organized crime, the authorities won't easily believe you weren't involved. But I didn't know anything about this, I protested. But it's your company, Mr. Vales. Your name. Legally, it's your responsibility to know what is happening. Ignorance is not a defense, especially when the operations are under a signature that looks like yours. My blood ran cold. The weight of his betrayal and the danger I was in hit me with the force of a physical blow. The game had changed. This wasn't just about a family feud anymore. It was about my survival. So what do I do? That was the question I asked Tony. His answer was clear and immediate. First, document everything. We need solid evidence of the fake contracts, the transactions, all of it. Second, we protect you legally. We have to separate your liability from Marcus. And third, you have to decide. Are you going to report your son, or are you going to try to resolve this privately? What are the options for a private resolution? Aisha, his legal partner, jumped in. You confront him. Demand he stops everything, returns the money if possible, and resigns. But, Mr. Vales, that is extremely risky. If organized crime is involved, they won't just let their money go. Your son could be in grave danger. You could be too, and if I report him? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Then Marcus faces criminal charges. Prison, most likely. And you'll have to cooperate fully with the authorities. Provide all the evidence. Testify against your own son if it comes to that. The thought turned my stomach, but the alternative was letting him continue, letting him destroy everything I built. I need to think, I said, but first I need all the evidence. I need to know exactly what he's been doing. I can help with that, Aisha said. I have contacts for forensic investigators. We can conduct a secret audit of your firm, find all the fake contracts, the suspicious transactions, and document everything. It'll take a week, maybe 2. Do it, I ordered, but it has to be absolutely secret. No one in the firm can know. Especially Marcus and Mr. Henderson, your accountant. He already suspects something, I told them. I'll talk to him tomorrow. I'll bring him to my side. I need allies inside the company. After they left, I stayed up late, my mind racing. How had I gotten here? At what point had my son decided that robbing me, using me, and potentially destroying me was an acceptable path? I thought of my late wife, Lena, what she would say. She was always stricter, more willing to set limits. Elijah, you're spoiling them, she used to say. You give them everything without making them work for it. One day, that's going to come back to bite you. She was right, as always. But I just wanted to be the cool, generous dad. And now I was paying the price. The next morning, I was at the office before anyone else. I went straight to Mr. Henderson's office. Elijah, what a surprise. You're in early. I didn't waste time. I need to talk to you about what you told me 2 months ago. The strange transactions. His expression grew serious. You investigated? Yes, and you're right. Something is very, very wrong, but I need your help. And this has to be completely confidential. What do you need? He asked. Full access to all the transactions, all the contracts, everything Marcus has been handling. And I need you to gather it without him knowing. He sighed. That's going to be difficult. Marcus changed my system permissions 3 weeks ago. I no longer have full access. Can you get it back? Without him knowing? I can try. I'm the system admin. Technically, I have the authority. But if Marcus checks the logs, he'll see I did something. Do it anyway, I urged. Then delete the logs, modify them, whatever it takes. Because, Henderson, if we don't stop this, it's not just Marcus who goes to prison. I will too. The company will be shut down. We all lose. It's that serious? He asked, his eyes wide. Worse. But I can fix it if I have the evidence. Will you help me? Mr. Henderson looked at me for a long time, then nodded. You're a good man, Elijah. You've been fair to me for 20 years. Yes, I'll help you. Give me 3 days. Thank you. And Henderson ... If Marcus asks anything, act normal. As if you know nothing. I will. The directors' meeting was that afternoon. Me, Marcus, 2 external directors who were basically just adversaries, and the general counsel, who I suspected was compromised. Marcus presented the quarterly numbers. Everything looked fantastic. Revenue up, expenses controlled, healthy margins. Excellent work, Marcus, I said, playing the proud father. The new clients are generating good results. Thank you, Dad. I'm just applying what you taught me. The disgusting, filthy liar. Tell me more about these clients, I pushed. Southstar Corporation, Integrated Innovation Group, Pacific Strategic Development. I'm not familiar with them. They're mid-sized companies, Dad. Nothing extraordinary, but they pay well. I'd like to meet the owners, I said, watching him closely. Maybe we can expand our work with them. I saw it. A quick flash of panic in his eyes, but he controlled it instantly. I don't think that's necessary. They're mid-level clients. It would be like swatting a fly with a sledgehammer. Even so, I insisted, I like to know our clients. Builds personal relationships. All right, he finally conceded. I'll arrange something, but maybe in a month. They're busy right now. Perfect. I look forward to it. Of course, there wouldn't be any meetings. Those clients were ghosts. But I wanted to apply pressure, see how he'd react. After the meeting, Marcus stopped me. Dad, why the sudden interest in those clients? Just curiosity, I said coolly. As CEO, I need to know our portfolio. Is there a problem? No problem. I was just surprised. You've been so disconnected lately. There's no change. I'm just doing my job. Is there an issue? I saw the frustration building in him. It's just that ... I thought you were preparing to retire. To give me complete control, and I am, I said, looking him dead in the eye. In 2 years. Not now. For now, I'm still the boss. And I want to be informed about everything. Do you understand? He clenched his jaw. Perfectly. That night, Robert Sanchez, the private investigator, called me. Mr. Vales, I have preliminary information. It's troubling. Your son and daughter-in-law are living a lifestyle far beyond their salaries. Expensive trips, designer clothes, a new luxury car every year. And they just made a down payment on a house in the Palisades. $1.6 million. Cash. My blood ran cold. Where did they get that money? Not from any visible, legitimate source. Their personal accounts don't show it, which suggests hidden accounts. Probably offshore. I'm working on tracking them, but I'll need more time and likely access to their computers or phones. Keep investigating, I said. And Robert ... I need you to find out who the real clients are. Southstar, Integrated Innovation ... all of them. I need to know who is behind those companies. I'll do it. But Mr. Vales, if these clients are connected to organized crime, this becomes dangerous. For you, for me, for everyone. I know, I said, but I have no choice. I need the truth. 3 days later, Mr. Henderson showed up at my house late at night, a flash drive in his hand. Here's everything, he said, his face grim. All the contracts Marcus signed in the last 8 months, all the transactions, all the money movements, everything. Does he suspect? I don't think so. But Elijah. You need to see this now. It's worse than you thought. We plugged the drive into my laptop, and for the next 3 hours, Mr. Henderson showed me the full sickening scope of my son's betrayal. 23 shell companies. Fraudulent contracts totaling $9 million. Money flowing in, money flowing out using my firm as a washing machine. And my signature was on those contracts. Yes, Henderson said, pointing to the screen. But Elijah, look closely. It's not your actual signature. It's forged. The signatures looked right, but they weren't mine. They were forgeries. Mr. Henderson laid it all out for me. Marcus, my own son, had been using my digital signature without my permission. This wasn't just money laundering anymore. It was outright fraud, and it got worse. He showed me the transfers. A massive $300,000 had been moved to a Cayman Islands account, registered to a company called SDA Holdings. Mr. Henderson had already done the digging. SDA, he explained, stands for Sebastian, Dominguez, and Andrea. I stared at him, confused. He clarified. It's their code for Marcus, Vales, and Chantal. They weren't just washing money for criminals. They were skimming a hefty commission for themselves. The chilling reality hit me like a ton of bricks. If the authorities find out, Mr. Henderson said, his voice grim, they'll think you authorized everything. They'll see you as the mastermind. It was all under my name. Marcus had meticulously crafted a trap, and I was the one poised to take the fall. A wave of rage washed over me, but fear was a cold undercurrent pulling me down. He was right. If this mess came to light, Marcus would walk away clean, leaving me to face the consequences. He had built the perfect cage to sink me. Can you make copies of all this? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Multiple copies. Different formats. Keep them somewhere safe. Mr. Henderson nodded. Already done. I have 3 flash drives. One for you, one for me, and one in a safe deposit box at the bank. A small weight lifted off my chest. Good, I said, a flicker of resolve igniting within me. We're going to need them very soon. The next day, Aisha Jackson, a forensic investigator, arrived at my house with her team. I handed over everything Mr. Henderson had compiled. She reviewed the documents, her expression turning more serious with each page. This is enough, she finally said, looking up at me. Enough to file criminal charges. Enough to separate your liability from your son's. And enough to protect you if the authorities are already onto this. My heart skipped a beat. Do you think they are? I asked. It's possible, she replied. Movements of this size trigger automatic alerts. If the Financial Crimes Unit has spotted something, they could be building a case right now. Believe me, they'd much rather have you as a cooperating witness than a suspect. So, what was my next move? I recommend you take the lead, Aisha advised. Go to the authorities before they come to you, present this evidence. Show them you were a victim of fraud, committed by your own son, and cooperate completely. The weight of her words settled heavily in the room. And Marcus? I had to ask. Marcus faces prison, she said bluntly. A long time. And his wife, too. Plus, if organized crime is involved, their lives could be in danger once they're exposed. The thought made my blood run cold. I never wanted physical harm to come to them. I just want justice, I said, my voice thick with emotion. Then you need to act fast, Aisha urged. Every day that passes, more money is laundered, and your son digs his own grave that much deeper. That very night, my phone rang. It was Marcus. Dad, he said, his tone casual, can we have dinner tomorrow? Just you and me. There's something I want to discuss. I knew what this was about. What is it? I asked, keeping my voice steady. The future, he said. The company, maybe accelerating your retirement. There it was. The final push. He was getting impatient, eager to gain complete control and operate without any oversight. He wanted me out of the picture for good. A cold resolve settled over me. This was the moment I'd been waiting for. This was my chance to turn the tables. Of course, son, I replied, a plan already forming in my mind. Let's have dinner. He had no idea what was coming. Thank you for sticking with me through this intense part of the story. It's a tough situation, and things are about to get even more complicated. If you're as invested as I am to see what happens next, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss how this dinner plays out. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think I should do. I read all of your comments, and your support means the world. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright, son. Where are we doing this? My place? Chantal's cooking something special. A family favorite. Perfect. What time? 8. We'll be waiting. I hung up the phone. I knew exactly what was about to happen. Marcus was going to apply the pressure. Maybe he'd try to get me to sign some documents. Maybe he'd try to manipulate me emotionally. But I had a different plan. And that dinner, well, it was going to be memorable, just not in the way Marcus was expecting. I immediately called Aisha. My son is going to try something tomorrow night, and I want to be prepared. Can you get me a discreet recording device? Something I can wear without it being noticed? I can, she said, her voice laced with concern. You're going to record him without his consent? Yes, I know it might not be admissible in court, but I want a record of what he says, what he tries. I understand, I'll get you the equipment. But Elijah, please be careful. If he gets violent, if you feel you're in danger, you leave immediately. I will, I promised. But I need to do this. I need to hear what he plans to tell me, what he expects me to do. I spent the rest of that day mentally preparing myself. I knew the next evening's dinner would be the breaking point, the moment everything would change. And even though my heart ached for what I was about to do, my mind was clear. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about justice. It was about stopping someone who was committing serious crimes. And it was about protecting my legacy, my name, and my freedom, even if it meant destroying my own son. The following afternoon, Aisha handed me the recording equipment. It was a tiny device the size of a shirt button with a built-in microphone. It adheres to your shirt, invisible under the fabric, she explained. It has a battery life of 4 hours. It records automatically and transmits live to this receiver, which you can leave in your car, just in case. We'll have a backup. Perfect. Thank you. Elijah, seriously, she said, her eyes meeting mine. If you feel you're in danger, leave. Call the police if you have to. Don't take any risks. I won't, I assured her again. But I have to do this. I need to hear what he plans to say, what he intends for me to do. I arrived at Marcus and Chantal's house at 8 o'clock sharp. A beautiful house in Bel Air that I had helped them buy with a $200,000 loan that was, of course, never repaid. Now I understood why. They were using laundered money for everything. Chantal opened the door with a smile that never quite reached her eyes. Elijah, so good to see you. Come in, thanks, Chantal. It smells delicious. I made your favorite, she said, leading me inside. Smoked brisket, collard greens, and sweet potato pie. A traditional dinner. Sounds wonderful. Just then, Marcus appeared from the kitchen, holding 2 glasses of wine. God welcome. Here, he said, handing one to me. It's a high-end Cabernet Sauvignon. I know you like it. I took the glass but didn't drink. Not yet. After what I'd heard, after knowing they'd tried to drug other people in similar situations, I wasn't taking any chances. Thanks, son. But you know, I don't drink much before dinner. It fills me up. Oh, sure. Well, whenever you're ready. We sat in the living room, making superficial conversation about the weather, the news, anything, but what was really on our minds. I could feel the tension crackling in the air, like we were both just waiting for the right moment to get to what really mattered. Finally, after dinner, after the dessert and coffee, Marcus suggested we talk in his private study. Man to man, he said. Father and son. Chantal discreetly disappeared, leaving us alone. The study was elegant. Built-in bookshelves, a mahogany desk, supple leather armchairs, all of it bought with stolen money. Dad, thank you for coming, he began, settling into one of the chairs. I know I've been busy lately, distant maybe, but it's because I've been working on something important. For us, for the family, for the legacy. I just sat there, waiting. I'm listening. I've been thinking about the future, he continued. The firm and your retirement. And I think you should accelerate it. Why? Because you deserve it. You've worked for 28 years without a break. You built something incredible, and now it's time for you to enjoy it. To travel, to live, to let the next generation take control. But we said 2 years. I know, but Dad, why wait? I'm ready now. I've proven I can handle everything. The numbers are better than ever. Clients are satisfied. Everything is running perfectly. And what exactly are you proposing? I asked, keeping my voice even. That you transfer the CEO role to me now. You stay on as chairman of the board, with a voice but without the daily operational responsibilities. And you get to enjoy your money while you can. It sounded reasonable on the surface, But why the urgency? It's not urgency, he said a little too quickly. It's opportunity. Dad, I have plans, big plans to expand the firm. New markets, new services, but I need complete autonomy to execute them. As long as you're the CEO, I need your approval for everything, and that slows things down. I understand, I said, nodding slowly. And do these plans, do they include those new clients you've been bringing in? The companies with the generic names? I saw it. A flicker in his eyes. Surprise, maybe even fear, but he controlled it instantly. Yes, exactly. Those clients are the future. Startups that need intensive consulting. Very profitable, but they require discretion and agile decision-making, which is easier if I have total control. Discretion, I repeated. Why would they need discretion? Because they're private companies. They don't want their competitors to know they're reorganizing or having problems. It's normal in our business. Of course, I said. But Marcus, as CEO, I have the right to know all our clients, to review all the contracts, don't I? Of course, he agreed. And you can do that whenever you want. Perfect. Then tomorrow, I want a meeting with the representatives of Southstar Corporation and Integrated Innovation Group. And the other 20 companies you've brought in over the last few months. His face tightened. That's going to be difficult to coordinate. Why? I pressed. If they're legitimate clients, they should be available. Unless there's a problem? There's no problem, he insisted. It's just that some of them prefer to communicate only with me. That's why they hired me. For that personal relationship. But I'm the founder, I said, my voice hardening slightly. The CEO. The weight of those words hung in the air between us. The truth was about to come out, one way or another. What do you think happens next? Does Marcus come clean, or does he dig a deeper hole? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next part. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. My presence should be an honor for them, I said, trying to grasp the situation. Unless they don't actually exist. The silence in the room was heavy, almost suffocating. My son, Marcus, stared back at me, his face a perfect mask of composure. What are you implying, Dad? He asked, his voice steady. I looked him straight in the eye. I'm not implying anything. I'm asking directly. Are those clients real, or are they shell companies you're using to launder money? The mask shattered. Marcus shot to his feet, his eyes blazing with a rage I hadn't seen since he was a teenager. How dare you? He roared. How dare you accuse me of something like that? I remained seated, my voice calm but firm. It's not an accusation if it's true. And Marcus, I know the truth. I know exactly what you've been doing. Using my firm, my name, my forged signature to launder millions of dollars. He tried to bluff, his voice dripping with condescension. You're crazy, paranoid. Maybe Mr. Henderson was right. Maybe you are losing your mental faculties. A cold smile touched my lips. Mr. Henderson said nothing of the sort. In fact, he was the one who alerted me. He showed me the suspicious transactions, helped me gather all the evidence. Evidence? Marcus scoffed, but a flicker of doubt crossed his face. What evidence? Of the 23 fake contracts, I began, listing them off like a death sentence. Of the $9 million laundered. Of your secret account in the Cayman Islands where you've deposited your commissions. Of everything. The color drained from Marcus's face. For the first time, his control vanished, replaced by pure, unadulterated panic. You don't have anything, he stammered. You're inventing this. Oh, I have everything, I assured him, leaning forward. Contracts, transactions, bank records, testimonies. And most importantly, I have your voice. The recording of you and Chantal 1 week ago, planning how to get me out of the company. Discussing how to declare me incompetent if necessary, and how to use me as a scapegoat if anything went wrong. His eyes widened in horror. You were spying on us? No, I corrected. I came to surprise you at your office, and I overheard you by accident. Calling me a clueless old man, laughing at me, planning my destruction. Marcus sank into his chair, the fight draining out of him. Or at least he pretended it was. Dad, he pleaded, his voice cracking. I can explain. There is no explanation that justifies what you did. I cut him off, my voice hard as steel. Treason, fraud, money laundering, signature forgery. Do you have any idea how many years in prison you're facing for that? Dad, please, he whimpered. You don't understand. I didn't have a choice. I was in debt to bad people, dangerous people. They offered me a way out. Use the company to wash their money and they would forgive my debts. I didn't have a choice. There's always a choice. I shot back, my own anger finally surfacing. You could have come to me, asked for help. But instead, you chose to use me, destroy me, and blame me if anything went wrong. I didn't want to involve you, he cried. You already did. I thundered. Everything is in my name. My signature, my firm, my reputation. If the authorities discover this, I am the one who will go to prison, not you. I'm sorry, Dad. I really am sorry, he said, trying to sound sincere. But we can fix this. We can stop everything. Return the money, close those accounts. No one has to know. I shook my head slowly. It's too late for that. Because I already know. And I won't allow this to continue. His eyes were wide with fear. What are you going to do? What I should have done from the beginning, I replied. My decision made. Protect myself. And that means reporting you. You can't do that, he gasped, his voice a desperate whisper. I'm your son. I looked at the stranger before me. You are a criminal who happens to share my blood. But that doesn't give you the right to destroy me. Just then, the door flew open and Chantal, his wife, ran into the study. She had clearly been listening from the hallway. Elijah, please, she begged. Think about your family, your legacy. If you report Marcus, the scandal will destroy the firm. Everything you worked for will disappear. Is that what you want? What I want, I said, my voice resonating with conviction, is justice. And protection for myself and for the legitimate firm I built. Not the criminal operation you two created. We're family, Chantal pleaded, her eyes welling with tears. Family protects. Family forgives. Where's your compassion? My heart was a stone. My compassion died when I heard your husband call me a clueless old man. When I discovered you planned to declare me incompetent. When I understood you would watch me go to prison for your crimes without batting an eye. Seeing his wife's tears weren't working, Marcus switched tactics. The pleas turned into threats. Dad, if you do this, he snarled, if you report me, I'm dragging you down with me. I'm going to say you knew everything, that you planned it, and that I was just following your orders. I almost laughed. Go ahead, try. I have evidence that you forged my signature. That you manipulated systems without my knowledge. That you conspired behind my back. I stood up, towering over them, the power in the room finally mine again. I would not be the clueless old man. I would not be the scapegoat. I would be the one to end this. Your word against my evidence. Who do you think they'll believe? The people we're working with, they won't let this get out. They'll do whatever it takes to protect their operation, including hurting whoever is necessary. Even you, he was threatening me with organized crime. I was warning him. If you expose this, not only am I in danger, you are too. Naomi is too. The whole family? Then I suggest you cooperate with the authorities. Give them names, information, everything you know. So they can protect all of us, and so that maybe your sentence will be reduced. I'm not going to be a snitch. Then you're going to be a prisoner for many years. You decide. I stood up to leave, but Marcus blocked the door. You're not leaving until you destroy that evidence. Until you promise you won't say anything. Get out of my way. No, not until you promise me. Marcus, move now. I pushed him gently, but he reacted by grabbing my arm, hard with desperation. You're not going to ruin my life. I won't let you. Let go of me now. Chantal intervened, pulling him off me. Marcus, let him go. You're making things worse. He finally released me, and I walked out of that house trembling. Not with fear, but with rage and pain. That wasn't my son, not the one I knew. He was a dangerous, desperate stranger. I got to my car and checked that the recording had worked. Yes, every word had been captured. The threats, the admissions, everything. That night, I called Aisha. I need to go to the authorities tomorrow, as soon as possible. This is escalating and it's no longer safe to wait. I understand. I'll make the calls. I have contacts at the district attorney's office in the financial crimes unit. We'll present everything with guaranteed protection for you and your daughter, Naomi. She knows nothing of this, but Marcus threatened that organized crime might hurt her. We'll ask for protection for her, too. The next morning, I called Naomi. Honey, I need to see you urgently at my house. It's important. Dad, what's wrong? You sound worried. I am, but I can't explain over the phone. Just come. Bring Eric if you want, but I need to talk to you. An hour later, Naomi arrived with her husband. I told them everything, every last detail. From what I overheard in Marcus' office to the confrontation the previous night, Naomi cried. I can't believe it. Marcus was always the perfect brother, the successful one. How could he do this? I don't know, honey. But he did, and now I have to protect all of us. What are you going to do? I'm reporting him today. The authorities are going to arrest him, probably today or tomorrow. I want you to be prepared because the media will cover this, and our family will be under scrutiny. Eric spoke. Mr. Vales, is there a real risk from organized crime? Should we be worried? Possibly. That's why I'm asking for protection for Naomi and for you until the criminals involved are arrested. And the company? What will happen to it? It will survive. I'm going to prove that the criminal operations were carried out without my knowledge by Marcus. I'm going to clean house, fire anyone involved, and rebuild our reputation. What about Marcus? Are you going to visit him in prison? Are you ever going to forgive him? I don't know, Naomi. Honestly, I don't know. Part of me still loves him because he's my son. But another part can't forgive what he did, what he tried to do to me. That afternoon, accompanied by Aisha and Tony, I went to the offices of the district attorney with boxes full of evidence. Documents, recordings, everything. Assistant District Attorney Wallace, a woman in her 50s with a serious expression, reviewed everything for 3 hours, asking questions, verifying details, taking notes. Mr. Vales, this is enough to proceed. We will issue arrest warrants for your son, your daughter-in-law, and anyone else we identify as an accomplice. When? Tonight. A coordinated operation, so they don't have time to flee or destroy evidence. And do I face any charges? Not for now. Your cooperation and the evidence that you were a victim of fraud protect you. But, Mr. Vales, you will have to testify against your son when the case goes to trial. I know, and I will. I also need to warn you. The people your son was laundering money for won't be happy when they find out they've been exposed. We're going to offer you protection, but you have to take it seriously. I will. That night, at 10 o'clock, teams from the DA's office simultaneously entered Marcus's house and his office. They arrested him and Chantal, formally charged them, and took them in for booking. The news exploded. Son of prominent CEO, arrested for money laundering, criminal operation and consulting firm. Father reports son for fraud. Media sought me out, wanting statements, photos, explanations. But Aisha advised silence. Let the prosecution manage the public narrative. You just protect yourself. 2 days later, Marcus asked to see me from the county lockup, where he was awaiting trial. What happens next is something I never could have prepared for. If you want to find out, make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications turned on. This story is far from over. Thanks for watching. Aisha told me not to go. She said I wasn't obligated, that it could be emotionally dangerous. But I had to see him just one last time. I needed to know if there was anything left to save, or if I had truly lost him forever. Aisha insisted on coming with me for protection as a witness. The detention center was exactly what you'd imagine. Cold, gray, utterly depressing. A place where hope goes to die and reality hits you without mercy. Aisha walked me to the visiting room. 30 minutes maximum, she warned. And if he says anything that makes you uncomfortable, anything threatening, we end this immediately. I just nodded. Understood. 5 minutes later, Marcus was escorted in by 2 guards. He was wearing the standard orange jumpsuit, unshaven, with deep, dark circles under his eyes. He'd lost weight, but he'd lost something else too. The arrogance, that unshakable confidence he always carried. He looked broken. Dad, he said, his voice cracking. Thank you for coming. I didn't think you would. I almost didn't, I replied, my own voice flat. Why did you come then? Because despite everything, I still need answers. I need to understand how we got here. How my son, I looked him straight in the eye, became this. Dad, I didn't want this to happen. Not like this. Oh? What way did you want it to happen, Marcus? Did you want me to be the one in here? To go to prison in your place? To carry your crimes while you lived it up on stolen money? No. I thought you would never find out. I thought I could manage everything without you knowing. And then, when I had complete control, I would clean it all up, push out the criminal operation. And the firm would be legitimate again. I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. And you really expected me to believe that? It's the truth, Dad. I was trapped. I owed some very bad people a lot of money. They offered me a way out. Use the company just temporarily, wash their money, and my debts would be forgiven. I thought it would be for 6 months, maybe a year, and then everything would go back to normal. But it didn't, did it? You kept going for 8 months. Washing more and more money, stealing commissions, buying houses, living a life you couldn't afford. I know, he whispered. I got carried away. The money was it was so easy. And Chantal, she wanted things. A bigger house, trips, clothes. I wanted to give them to her. I wanted to be the husband she deserved. And what about being the son I deserved? I shot back. The honest man your mother and I tried to raise? Tears started rolling down his cheeks. I failed. I failed at everything. I know it, and I'm so sorry. I had to ask. Are you truly sorry, Marcus? Or are you just sorry you got caught? I'm sorry for everything, he sobbed. I'm sorry I betrayed you, that I called you a clueless old man. That I planned to push you out, forged your signature, and put your freedom at risk. Everything. Let me ask you this, I said, leaning forward. If I hadn't found out, if I had continued to trust you blindly, would you have stopped? The silence that followed was long and heavy. It stretched for what felt like an eternity. Finally, he admitted it, his voice barely audible. I don't know, probably not. I got used to the money, the lifestyle. I didn't want to give it up. That was it. The answer I dreaded. Then you're not really sorry, I said, my voice cold as ice. You're sorry you lost. You're sorry your plan didn't work. But you don't feel genuine remorse for what you did to me. That's not true, he cried out. Isn't it? Marcus, you called me a clueless old man. You and your wife laughed at me behind my back. You planned to have me declared incompetent if I didn't cooperate. And you structured everything so that if it all went wrong, I would be the one going to prison. That doesn't sound like someone who loves or respects me. I was scared. I was desperate. I was just saying things I didn't really mean. That's a lie, I said, shaking my head. In moments of desperation, people show their true selves. And your true self sees me as an obstacle, as a resource to be exploited, not as a father. Marcus was sobbing uncontrollably now. What do you want me to do? What can I do to fix this? Tell the authorities the truth, I said, my tone firm. Give them the names, the information about the criminals you were working for. Help them dismantle that operation. And accept the consequences of your actions without trying to pass the blame. He looked up, a flicker of something in his eyes. And if I do that, if I cooperate completely, will there be a chance to rebuild something between us? Not now, but someday when I get out. I took a deep breath. This was the hardest part. I don't know, Marcus. Honestly, I don't know. The damage you did was immense, and I don't know if I can ever completely forgive it. But I can say this. If you cooperate, if you show real change, if you serve your sentence with dignity, maybe, just maybe, we can talk. As two people who share a history. I don't know if as father and son, but as people. He nodded, tears still streaming. That's more than I deserve. Much more. I stood up, my time was up. Yes, it is, I said, turning to leave. Because what you deserve is for me to turn my back on you and never look back. Thank you for watching this story unfold. It's a difficult one, but it's important to talk about these moments of betrayal and the long, hard road to potential forgiveness. If you connected with this story, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. It helps us continue to bring these powerful narratives to you. We'll see you in the next one. I'm offering you a possibility, Marcus. A very small, very conditional one. And Mom, if she were here, what would she say? The mention of Lena hit me like a punch in the gut. Your mother would be heartbroken, absolutely devastated. She loved you more than anything in this world, and seeing what you've become, it would break her. I know. And that's what hurts the most. I didn't just disappoint you. I disappointed her memory, everything she expected of me. Then honor her memory by becoming someone better. It won't be easy. It will take years, but it's the only way. I'm going to try. I promise you. Promises mean nothing, Marcus. Only actions do. Remember that. I stood up, ready to leave, but then he spoke again. Dad, there's something else you need to know. Chantal is 2 months pregnant. When the baby is born, I'll be here, in prison. My child will grow up without a father. That's my punishment. My heart stopped. A grandson. My grandson, about to be born into the worst possible circumstances. Does Chantal know? Yes. That's why she's so desperate, so scared. She's pregnant. Her husband is in prison, and she doesn't know how she's going to survive. And you're telling me this for what? To manipulate me? To make me feel sorry for you and drop the charges? No, the charges can't be dropped. They belong to the state now. I'm telling you because that child is innocent. He shouldn't suffer for my mistakes. And if you want, maybe you could make sure he's okay, not for me. For the child, I'm going to think about that. But Marcus, listen to me. I'm not going to rescue Chantal. I'm not going to pay her expenses. I'm not going to be the bank I always was. If I help that child, it will be on my terms. With limits, with conditions, and with supervision. I understand, and thank you for at least considering it. I left the jail with a storm of emotions raging inside me. There was fury at the manipulation, deep pain from the betrayal, but also a flicker of concern for an innocent child who was about to be born into this disaster. Ashisha walked beside me in the parking lot. Do you think he was being honest, or was that another manipulation? Probably both. Marcus has always been good at mixing truth with lies. But the baby, that's verifiable. And if it's true, then I have some very difficult decisions to make. The following months were pure chaos. Marcus's trial became a public spectacle, splashed across every news channel. Every sordid detail of his betrayal was exposed for the world to see. I had to testify for 2 full days, recounting the gut-wrenching story of how I discovered the fraud, how I gathered the evidence, and how my own son had used my firm to launder $9 million. It was humiliating, painful, but absolutely necessary. The verdict came down hard. Marcus was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison. Chantal received 8 years, but her sentence was suspended due to the pregnancy. She would serve house arrest until the baby was born, after which her sentence would be re-evaluated. The people they were laundering money for were also arrested, a network of 5 individuals connected to a minor crew, all of them now facing decades behind bars. The firm survived, but just barely. We lost 30% of our clients, scared off by the scandal, by the association with crime. But those who stayed, they were loyal. They understood that I was a victim, not a perpetrator. I immediately hired a new chief operating officer, a sharp professional from the outside with no family connections and impeccable credentials. I restructured everything. We implemented new processes, new controls, and a new culture of absolute transparency. This could never happen again. Thanks for sticking with me through this incredible story. If you're finding this journey as compelling as I am, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. Your support means the world. See you in the next one. After the dust settled, Mr. Henderson, the man who dared to warn me when no one else would, was promoted. His loyalty was his bond, and I made sure it was rewarded. And Naomi, my brilliant daughter, Naomi, she became my right hand. Not in operations, but in rebuilding our name. She showed the world that Vales and Abui was more than just a scandal. It was a company with 30 years of integrity, and we were here to stay. 6 months after the trial, I got a call. It was Chantal from the hospital. Elijah, she said, her voice trembling. I know you probably don't want to talk to me, but the baby is here. She told me his name was Jaden. He was healthy, beautiful, and had his father's eyes. Then her voice broke. I'm scared, Elijah. I'm alone, and I have no idea how I'm going to do this. But I'm determined to do it right, to be a better mother than I was a wife. I took a breath. Chantal, I said, I want to meet him. But not now. Any relationship I have with Jaden will be on my terms, not yours. She understood. 2 months later, I visited them. Her small apartment was a world away from the luxury they once knew. Jaden was sleeping in a simple bassinet, so small, so innocent, completely unaware of the complicated world he'd been born into. He's beautiful, I managed to say. Chantal looked at me, her eyes filled with a sincerity I hadn't seen before. He looks like his father, but I hope he has your heart, your ethics. She told me she was in mandatory therapy, trying to understand why she chose easy money over integrity. I've learned something, she confessed. I had all the money in the world, and I was miserable. Now I have nothing, but I have peace. And I have Jaden. He's the only thing that matters. We made an agreement. I would visit once a month and provide basic financial support for the baby's needs. Nothing extravagant. But Chantal, I warned her, if you try to manipulate me again, if you use Jaden as a tool, it's over. No second chances. She looked me straight in the eye and said, I understand. This child deserves better. He deserves a grandfather who loves him, and I won't ruin that. A year passed. The firm was stable again. Smaller, yes, but healthy, profitable, and completely clean. Naomi was a force of nature, her work ethic reminding me of myself at her age. One day, she came to me. "Dad," she said, "I've been thinking about the future. About me becoming CEO. Not now, but in a couple of years. When you're ready to truly retire." She was ready, and unlike Marcus, her motive was pure. She wanted to continue my legacy, the right way. We laid out a plan. Over the next 2 years, I would mentor her, and if all went well, she would take the reins. I visited Marcus in prison a few times. The conversations were awkward, but the raw hostility was gone. He told me he'd been cooperating with the authorities, giving them everything he knew. Not to reduce his sentence, he said, but because it was the right thing to do. In here, he admitted, I can't pretend. I can't use money to solve problems. I can only be myself and face who I truly am. And who was that? Someone who made huge mistakes, he said, his voice heavy with regret, but who was trying to be better day by day. 2 years after the trial, for my 59th birthday, we had a small dinner at my home. Naomi and her husband, Mr. Henderson and his wife, my lawyers, and even Chantal with little Jaden. He was a toddler now, running through the garden, chasing butterflies, a beacon of pure joy. Watching him, I felt a sense of peace. Naomi came and stood beside me. "It's beautiful," she said softly, "to see new life after so much pain." I agreed. It was a reminder that families can be broken, but they can also be rebuilt. That night, alone in my study, the same room where I had grieved my shattered family, I looked at the photos from the dinner. I saw a smiling Naomi, a playful Jaden, and a finally peaceful Chantal. And I understood something profound. The family you have isn't always the family you need. When that family betrays you, you have the right to rebuild, to choose who deserves a place in your life. A part of me will always love my son, but love is not enough without respect and integrity. I chose my dignity. I chose my peace. If my story resonates with you, please know that family fraud is devastatingly real. It's children using their parents' businesses for their own illicit gains, expecting love to shield them from consequences. But love cannot, and must not, protect crime. Parents have the right to defend themselves, to seek justice, and to set boundaries, even when that means their own child faces prison. I discovered my son was using me, that he saw me as a clueless old man he could discard. It hurt more than words can say, but I defended myself. I gathered evidence, I reported him, and I survived. And you can too. Thank you for listening to my journey. If this story touched you, please consider subscribing for more content about navigating life's most difficult challenges. Your support means the world. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm sharing something deeply personal, a story that reshaped my entire world. It's about betrayal, difficult choices, and finding strength when you feel most broken. It all started 2 years ago, a time when my life was turned completely upside down. My own son, someone I trusted completely, was using my cleaning business for his illegal activities. He saw me not as his father, but as a cover, a clueless old man he could easily manipulate. The discovery was like a punch to the gut. How could the person I raised do this to me, to our family's legacy? For weeks, I was in a state of shock and denial. I wanted to believe it wasn't true, that there was some misunderstanding. But the evidence was undeniable, staring me right in the face. I spent sleepless nights wrestling with an impossible decision. On one hand, he was my son, my blood. The instinct to protect him was overwhelming. But on the other hand, everything I had worked for my entire life was at risk. My business, my reputation, my freedom. He wasn't just putting himself in danger. He was dragging me down with him, threatening to destroy the legitimate, honest company I had built from scratch. I realized that my love for him had blinded me. He had taken my trust and used it as a weapon against me. The pain of that betrayal was immense, a constant ache in my chest. I knew I couldn't just stand by and watch my life crumble. I had to act, but the path forward was terrifying. The thought of reporting my own son felt like the ultimate betrayal of a parent. How could I do that? But then I looked at my daughter, a woman of incredible integrity, and my young grandson, who deserved to grow up in a safe and honest environment. What example would I be setting if I allowed this corruption to continue, if I let fear dictate my actions? I realized that true love isn't about enabling destructive behavior. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to set a firm boundary and let people face the consequences of their actions. It was a choice between my son and my principles, between a relationship built on lies and a future built on truth. The weight of that decision felt unbearable, but my conscience was clear, so I began to gather proof. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Every piece of evidence I collected felt like another nail in the coffin of the relationship I thought I had with my son. I documented every suspicious transaction, every strange phone call, every lie he told. I felt like a spy in my own life, meticulously building a case against my own child. He thought I was oblivious, but he underestimated me. He mistook my kindness for weakness and my age for ignorance. He didn't realize that the same determination I used to build my business was the same determination I would use to protect it, and to protect myself. When I had enough evidence, I took a deep breath and walked into the police station. My hands were shaking, but my resolve was firm. And today, 2 years later, where do I stand? I have a clean, thriving business. My daughter, who stood by me through it all, respects me more than ever. My grandson is growing up in a stable, positive environment, and for the first time in years, I have peace of mind. Was it worth reporting my son? It's a complicated question. I lost the son I thought I knew, and that void is real. But I gained something far more valuable in its place: authenticity, security, and the unwavering certainty that I did the right thing. He called me a clueless old man, but in the end I was smarter, more prepared. When the moment came, I didn't hesitate to defend what was right. A part of my heart will always ache for the relationship that was lost, for the son I wish he could have been. But another part of me celebrates what I've gained. I'm free. Free from fear, free from being used, and surrounded by people who genuinely love and value me for who I am. At the end of the day, isn't that what truly matters? Living an honest life without the constant anxiety of lies and deceit. From Atlanta, Georgia, at 59 years old, with a life rebuilt from the ashes of betrayal, I want to wish you courage. The courage to see the truth even when it's painful. The courage to document it, to gather your strength. The courage to act, and the courage to live with the consequences of doing what's right, even when it's the hardest thing you'll ever have to do. If my story has helped you in any way, if it has given you a new perspective or the courage to face your own challenges, I hope you'll share it. Because somewhere out there, someone else might be feeling trapped, used by the very people who are supposed to love them. They need to know they aren't alone, that they have the right to defend themselves, and that survival and peace are possible. I learned a difficult lesson. Blood isn't enough to justify abuse. Love without respect is hollow. And sometimes the family you choose and build is stronger and healthier than the one you were born into. I had to learn that the hard way, and I hope my story can save you from some of that pain. Thank you so much for listening to my story today. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts. Have you ever faced a similar situation? And which city are you watching from today? Let's connect in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this story and want to support the channel, you can send a super thanks. Your support means the world and helps me continue to bring more real-life stories like this one to you. On the screen now, you'll see 2 other stories that I think you'll find powerful. There's so much more to explore on my channel, so please don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Until then, see you in the next story. With love and respect.